even though he was the heir to the continent's top magic family. Instead of inheriting a vast fortune, he only wanted to squat in the wild pulling weeds. Everyone thought he had lost his mind, simply because his 3 attempts at Mono Awakening had all failed, turning him into the laughingstock of the clan, but no one knew that what he was pulling were not weeds at all, but magical herbs with special properties, you see. The Asteri family he belonged to had power so vast they could toy with the underworld itself in the palm of their hands. Moreover, this clan believed in absolute strength above all. Even a biological grandson, if lacking in strength, would still be ruthlessly kicked out the door. Yet, I transmigrated into this very clan's useless young master. Not only unable to sense any mana, but after 3 attempts, I suffered severe backlash and grievous injuries from the mana. Even worse, this frail body had already accumulated tens of thousands of fainting spells. According to clan rules, sooner or later, I would be driven out, but fortunately, the game system from back then transmigrated along with me. By harvesting herbs, I could unlock achievements and earn gold coins. Once I saved up enough gold coins, I could even unlock the system shop. Recently, rumors spread across the manor, saying that after failing my Mono Awakening 3 times, I had gone completely insane, even braving the heavy rain to rush up the mountain and dig in the dirt with my bare hands, all for a weed that nobody cared about. But in my eyes, these were all rare herbs glowing with blue light. At this moment, I had only one plan in mind: to frantically gather herbs, hard gold coins, and as soon as I had enough, make a run for it and leave this cold-blooded family forever. On this particular day, deep in the forest, I suddenly spotted a dazzling blue glow. I rushed over immediately and plucked it up. It turned out to be a 3-star rare spirit herb, red sun fern, just as I held the herb in wild ecstasy. A woman's voice suddenly came from behind me. The person was none other than Sylvia, the grand butler of the Asteri family, whose strength was unfathomable and who was also one of the most enigmatic figures in the entire clan. Quick on my feet, I held up the spirit herb in my hand and asked tentatively, "Can you see it glowing?" To my surprise, she looked bewildered. "Young master, that is just an ordinary weed." In her eyes, I was rambling nonsense again, but in my heart, I instantly felt relieved. It turned out only I could see this system. This truly was my exclusive cheat. But before I could celebrate, Sylvia's next words wiped the smile right off my face. "The patriarch is looking for you." I panicked on the spot, because that patriarch was none other than my biological grandfather, and also the most terrifying person in the entire Asteri family. He was a madman who treated the law of the jungle as his faith and valued strength above all else. Yet, he was the most important figure in my escape plan. So I had to prepare a greeting gift of sufficient weight to properly bribe and win him over. I could only ask Sylvia to relay the message first, saying I would come pay my respects to the patriarch shortly. However, upon hearing the news, the old man blew his top, as the family's most useless eldest grandson, after waking up. Instead of coming to see him, I ran off into the mountains every day to pull weeds. Enraged, grandfather fumed on the spot, demanding that little brat get over here immediately. Luckily, before the butler left, I had a flash of inspiration and asked Sylvia to apply for an alchemy workshop on my behalf. After all, the bribe for grandfather had to be made by my own hands. But when I stepped into the workshop, I was utterly stunned. Distillers, extraction furnaces, refining cauldrons, every single one of them was top-tier refining equipment on the continent, each piece worth a fortune outside. This immense family wealth was completely beyond my imagination. At this moment, I opened my system panel. My gathering skill had long been maxed out, but my alchemy proficiency was still at 0. According to system rules, alchemy ranks went from apprentice, craftsman, master, all the way to grandmother. Each rank was as difficult as reaching the heavens. After all, reaching the realm of grandmother was something almost no one could achieve. Right now, the only thing I could do was to first brew 100 bottles of low-grade health potions to directly boost My proficiency: extracting, simmering, bottling, sealing. Looking at the brewed red potions, as soon as one was ready, I drank it right down. Watching my health bar shoot up rapidly, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Grandfather, just you wait for your grandson's greeting gift. But after chugging several dozen bottles in a row, I couldn't take it anymore when my health was already fully topped off. Drinking any more was pure torture, but seeing that there was only one bottle left, dripping with cold sweat, I still tilted my head back and gulped it down. As the familiar system chime rang out, the Novice Alchemist achievement was unlocked. My proficiency soared straight to Apprentice level 4, and brand new potion recipes were unlocked. I was almost moved to tears. I finally didn't have to force down health potions anymore. Next came the real challenge: what gift should I actually give grandfather? But the more I thought about it, the more of a headache it became. Giving a mono potion, he was already a top-tier mage on the continent with mana overflowing. Giving a health potion, he had top-tier healing mages by his side 24/7, so he'd look down on it even more. Thinking back and forth, I suddenly had a stroke of genius. High-ranking mages could use mana to strengthen their physical bodies, but mental fatigue couldn't be wiped away by mana alone. And as the sole ruler of this massive family, wasn't that precisely what the old man lacked the most? So, I decided to brew a mental fatigue recovery potion. As the ingredients gradually blended together, a deep azure potion swirled gently in the container, and even fond memories from my past life began to stir within me. At the very last second, the system suddenly burst with dazzling golden light. Successfully brewed 2-star mental fatigue recovery potion. This sent me over the moon. Normally, a 2-star potion required at least level 8 proficiency. But as a mere level 4 apprentice, I managed to produce it way ahead of rank. Even more astonishing, just by taking a gentle whiff, all the fatigue from pulling an all-nighter was instantly swept away. The effect was simply incredible, but the real surprise was yet to come, because I successfully brewed a potion beyond my own rank. The talent I had kept hidden until now was finally activated in an instant. A blue glow swirled around me, and fine mana particles flowed like water, wrapping around my fingertips, coursing through my veins across my entire body. I could feel warm energy flowing inside me, a sensation I had never experienced before. That was the flow of mana. Who would have thought that a trash like me, whom everyone deemed incapable of ever awakening mana, would experience my very first mana awakening because of alchemy? This monumental surprise left me grinning from ear to ear. But right at that moment, all my actions were caught by the blonde man standing outside the door. A strange smile appeared on his face as he turned around and walked straight away. Utterly unaware, I had no idea that danger was approaching, completely immersed in my own joy. To me, now that I could earn gold coins and had awakened mana, the day I could leave the clan and roam free couldn't be far off. Excited, I slumped back into my chair. But as I was laughing, the smile on my face suddenly froze. Wait. Did I forget something extremely important? Grandfather is still waiting for me. The old man had waited from day till night and was completely fuming. He just couldn't understand why his sickly, useless grandson would work himself to the bone just to brew some useless potion. After all, he was a man like a soaring eagle. He had slain a giant dragon single-handedly and wiped out the Demon King's army, easily able to establish his own empire. Even if his grandson were a fool, he could still guarantee him a lifetime of wealth and glory. Nobody knew that this grandfather, who appeared cold and ruthless on the outside, actually cared more about me than anyone else. Seeing grandfather's troubled face, Sylvia finally couldn't help but speak up. When I saw the young master brewing potions, he had a kind of joy I had never seen before, but grandfather merely sighed With death looming, what's the point of being happy? That child has already suffered 3 mana rebounds. Even an ordinary mage might not survive one. And no one knows how long this child has left to live, so grandfather's greatest wish had never been for me to become a powerhouse, but rather for me to live a safe and peaceful life. Just then, the study door was finally pushed open, having stood grandfather up for an entire day. I had finally arrived. Why have you only come to see me now? I took a deep breath and began to open up. Everyone in the Asteri family knows that I have no magical talent. In the past, I refused to accept this reality, because admitting I was useless meant I no longer had the right to stay in this family. But things are different now. With that, I gently took out a blue potion and placed it before grandfather. This is the very first potion I brewed with my own hands after accepting who I am. From now on, I want to work hard and become someone truly worthy of the Asteri name. Grandfather, you must have been very tired lately, right? That simple sentence caused grandfather's expression to change instantly. He suddenly noticed that his grandson's entire demeanor had completely transformed, giving off a feeling both familiar and strange. But what truly astonished him was the bottle of potion on the desk. It turned out this silly grandson had been brewing potions day and night these past few days entirely for him. Thinking of this, the old man's ears turned red in an instant. Since when had this kid become so considerate? But the next second, he frantically reminded himself, wait, I am the strongest mage on the continent. This ordinary potion won't have any effect on me at all. However, my very next words made him completely melt. The grandfather, while brewing this potion, you were the only one on my mind. What? This kid was thinking of me the entire time. He was actually thinking about him. Grandfather was overjoyed inside, but he tried hard to maintain his composure. He was a man like an eagle. After all, I understand. Are you done talking? If you're done, you may leave. Only after I left did grandfather examine the potion in his hand, finding it more and more unusual. There wasn't the slightest fluctuation of mana potion in it, but rather it emitted a remarkably familiar aura. Sylvia immediately suggested that, for safety's sake, they should analyze the potion's ingredients with magic. But grandfather flatly refused. This is a gift from my grandson. I want to experience his sincerity myself. But upon closer inspection, grandfather was even more shocked. The brewing craftsmanship of this potion was simply flawless. Without extremely solid knowledge of pharmaceutics and alchemy, one couldn't possibly achieve such a level. For the first time, grandfather's impression of me had completely shifted, although he still thought the potion wouldn't do anything for him, since his physique was exceptionally strong, allowing him to drink deadly poison like water. Not wanting to let my efforts go to waste, he still drank it down in one gulp. However, in the next second, a miracle occurred. A wave of warm energy instantly enveloped his body, and fond memories long buried in his mind began to replay like a movie. Without realizing it, he leaned back in his chair and fell into a deep sleep. This was the most peaceful sleep he had had in decades. No nightmares, no pressure, only a long-lost tranquility. When he opened his eyes again, grandfather was completely stunned. The migraines that had plagued him for over a decade had actually vanished. Staring blankly at the empty bottle in his hand, he suddenly chuckled. This kid is just like me, stubborn to the bone. In that moment, grandfather finally made up his mind. I can no longer keep this child locked in a greenhouse. No matter the cost, even if I have to risk my own life, I will protect him and never let him suffer mana backlash again. Little did I know that my sentimental strategy had succeeded so thoroughly. Yet, just as I stepped out of the study, a strange chill ran down my spine, giving me a bad premonition. Sure, Enough. Bizarre rumors were already spreading like wildfire throughout the Asteri family. The young master goes out gathering herbs every day because he's dying. That potion he gave the patriarch was his final parting gift before death. Some even speculated the young master running up the mountain every day isn't for gathering herbs at all. He's actually picking out a burial plot for himself in advance. I heard he's looking for good feng shui, right? But right at that moment, a figure was already standing quietly behind them. Everyone's smiles froze, because the newcomer was none other than Sylvia, the grand butler of the Asteri family. Smiling, she clasped her hands together. Since you're all having such a lively chat, why don't you share those rumors with me? Instantly, a dead silence fell over the courtyard. Upon learning of these rumors, Sylvia proved to be swift and ruthless. She utterly despised anything that tarnished the reputation of the Asteri family. Thus, the three gossiping servants were unceremoniously expelled from the manor. However, due to an urgent summons from grandfather, Sylvia hurried over the moment she finished handling the matter. Is there something urgent you need me to do, calling me so early in the morning? Grandfather didn't answer, simply placing that bottle of mental fatigue recovery potion on the table. Use your witch's eye to examine this potion for me. Upon seeing through the true essence of this potion, the smile on Sylvia's face vanished instantly. Her eyes snapped wide open, because this potion was definitely not something the young master should be able to brew at his current level. This wasn't an ordinary potion at all, but a hero potion. The moment those three words were uttered, the entire room fell dead silent, because across the entire continent, only one person possessed such a thing, the hero from 50 years ago who ended the war between humans and demons. Legends said he slew the demon dragon alone, routed the demon king's army, and even the gods were wary of him. No labyrinth could ever trap him, and perhaps only he could find Sylvia's contract within the Asteri family's labyrinth and break it for her. Back then, the head of the Asteri clan, who had been tasked with hunting witches, captured Sylvia alive and signed a special contract with her, forcing her to live forever as a human within the territory of the Asteri family. Unfortunately, the hero later vanished without a trace, and no one knew where he went. Thinking of this, Sylvia lost her composure completely, her hands even beginning to tremble. This was a potion that only a hero was worthy of obtaining. Could it be that the young master was actually that hero? But grandfather shook his head firmly. Impossible. Although this potion is special, its potency is not as overwhelming as a true hero potion. Even so, a new idea sparked in grandfather's mind. I plan to have this child brew an even higher tier potion. I hope you can also feel the same sense of relief that I felt back then. You see, Sylvia was a witch with a lifespan of thousands of years, and centuries of maid service had left her spirit utterly exhausted. However, facing grandfather's good intentions, Sylvia suddenly burst into laughter. Do you know? Grandfather's good intentions, Sylvia suddenly burst into laughter. Do you know what the most useless thing in the world is? It is worrying about a witch. A witch naturally possesses a 1,000-year lifespan and a body that never falls sick, born with immense magical power and all sorts of innate skills. So you don't need to trouble your lovely grandson on my account. I am doing very well. With that, she bowed respectfully and dissolved into the shadows, leaving only the aura of a witch sweeping across the entire room. But he understood this woman better than anyone else, so he made the decision on his own. He ordered a servant to summon me over. Seeing grandfather's solemn expression, I sensed that things were not so simple. I asked tentatively, "Grandfather, is this about that bottle of potion?" After pausing for 2.5 seconds, grandfather nodded. "That's right. Can you brew a potion of even higher quality?" This greedy request caught me off guard, plunging me into deep thought. To be honest, almost all the one-star herbs nearby had been plucked clean by me. Being able to brew a 2-star potion last time was purely a stroke of explosive luck, combined with the boost from top-tier alchemy equipment. But on second thought, grandfather was my ultimate financial backer. An opportunity to show off like this was something I could never pass up, no matter what. I immediately patted my chest and yelled, "Give me a little time, and I will definitely brew it. But I'm curious, grandfather, why do you suddenly want a higher grade potion?" Grandfather blurted out. "I want to give it to the Grand Butler, the witch." Hearing that name, I froze on the spot as my mind began running wild with scenarios. No way. Does grandfather have feelings for the handmaid? But thinking about it carefully, grandmother had been gone for so many years, and grandfather had been like a lone wolf, lonely for so long with only Sylvia by his side. Could this be the start of a Twilight romance? No wonder he wanted to give her the very best. So I immediately declared, "Give me 2 weeks, and I will definitely brew a higher grade potion for you." Grandfather was startled. 2 weeks? It seemed grandfather wasn't satisfied. I bit my lip and resolved, "Then within 1 week, I will definitely deliver a higher tier potion to you." With that, I turned around and sprinted away, leaving a dumbfounded grandfather standing on the spot, shouting, "You brat, I haven't finished talking. I meant that it's impossible for you to make it in 2 weeks," yet watching me run further and further away, grandfather looked utterly helpless. Once I finally calmed down, suddenly realized a fatal problem. What was I going to use to brew a 3-star potion? The more I thought about it, the bigger my headache grew. I couldn't just use gold coins to buy high-grade herbs directly, could I? With my current proficiency, even if I bought them, I couldn't brew them at all. Wait, don't I still have the system shop? Maybe inside there's something that can solve my current dilemma. However, I was fairly scammed by this system when I quickly opened the system panel. A prompt popped up: "Insufficient gold coins under 100,000. Only item preview is available." Seeing this sentence, I was completely stunned. What did that mean? I can only look but not buy. I hurriedly opened the product list, and the next second, I nearly coughed up blood. A pair of scissors cost 10,000 gold coins. Fishing rod was also 10,000 gold coins. The most ridiculous thing was a rusty old key that actually sold for 10,000 gold coins too. I broke down on the spot. Is this key inlaid with diamonds or gold? The more I looked, the more absurd it became. Next, I clicked on the seasonings category, and it was even crazier. Magical pepper was 10,000 gold coins, and magical spices were also 10,000 gold coins. I was completely speechless. I couldn't even afford seasonings. What kind of rip-off shop was this? They must be taking me. It seemed the system couldn't be counted on. I had to rely on my own 2 hands to gather materials, but the quantity of spirit herbs I could harvest barehanded was ultimately limited. To obtain higher grade materials, what I lacked most right now was a high-quality tool, so I immediately headed to the largest blacksmith shop in town. Inside, sparks flew everywhere, and the deafening clangs of hammering resonated loudly. But after looking around the shop for a long time, there was nothing close to the tool I needed. So, I decided to forge it myself. "Excuse me, may I borrow your furnace to forge some iron?" The apprentice then led me to the alchemy workshop. "Boss, come out quick." But the bearded blacksmith inside didn't even look up, hammering away on his own, until the apprentice yelled, "This is a big client." But the blacksmith still looked annoyed. "A big client is just a big client, just rip him off a bit more. Seriously, do I have to teach you that?" But as he grumbled and walked to the door, the moment he saw who was standing there, he was instantly stunned. Standing outside was unmistakably a filthy rich young master. His outfit was worth a fortune. Just a single gem on his cuff was enough to buy his entire blacksmith shop. But after his initial shock, only confusion remained. This was too absurd. Why would a wealthy young master come here to learn blacksmithing? I simply told him, I won't take anything for free. I will pay. With a heavy thud, a large pouch of gold coins slammed heavily onto the table. That hefty bag of jingling gold coins was enough to buy the whole blacksmith shop. They couldn't believe their eyes. The bearded craftsman felt even more exasperated. Our furnace is already partially broken, and we're swamped with work as it is. Do we really have to play house with a noble young master? But the kind apprentice merely took 2 gold coins from the pouch, just to use the furnace. These 2 are plenty. You should take the rest back. He even reminded me, there are many bad people in this world, young master, so be careful of swindlers. I chuckled inwardly. I had intentionally overpaid. To build goodwill, first taking someone's money softens their stance, making things easier later on. But right then, the bearded dwarf sneered disdainfully, "Noble young masters, you pampered people can't even stand by a furnace for 10 minutes. Yet you want to forge tools yourself." Hearing this, I wasn't angry, because the dwarf in front of me wasn't a common dwarven descendant, but a genuine pure-blood dwarf. You see, the dwarven race was born with terrifying strength. They could reach their hands into fire without being burned, while also mastering the continent's finest forging techniques. This was also the reason I came here, but when I told him I was Ryan from the Asteri family, he didn't show the slightest surprise. "Well, so you're that famous crazy young master from the Asteri clan. Come on, let's clear a furnace for this eccentric." His arrogant tone made the apprentice break into a cold sweat, frantically signaling and hinting at him. Only then did the dwarven craftsman react. "The furnace is over there. If you need anything, ask him." With that, he turned and left directly. Afterward, the apprentice gave me a tour of the entire blacksmith shop. The equipment here was indeed solid, and the forging process was very standard, but after observing for a while, I noticed a slight anomaly. I walked up to the furnace and sensed it carefully. This flame wasn't right at all. Its quality was far too poor. Even stranger, I looked closely, and then I nodded. The dwarven craftsman looked as if he had caught a lifeline. "Can you fix it? If you can truly save it, I will personally teach you blacksmithing. And in the future, whatever tools you need, I will prioritize making them for you. Forge them for you." This was quite an enticing offer. After all, this shop was the most famous blacksmith around, and orders were usually backed up for months. I agreed without hesitation. At this moment, the dwarven craftsman finally let out a sigh of relief. He had worked his whole life to build up this shop, only for the fire spirit's energy to run dry. Tools made with manual fires lacked sufficient quality. No matter how good his skills were, he couldn't replace spirit fire, but he could only instinctively sense the fire spirit's energy without being able to communicate with it. If this continued, the shop would go bankrupt sooner or later. But could this frail, scrawny young master truly save the fire spirit? The dwarven craftsman didn't believe it at all. But what he didn't know was that the person before him wasn't an ordinary noble young master at all. I stroked my chin as inspiration struck. "The fire spirit says it's thirsty." The dwarf froze for 3 seconds. "Thirsty? Then pour some water on it." I glared at the guy pouring water on fire. "Are you crazy? We need to give the fire spirit something it can actually drink, not ordinary water." These words gave the dwarven craftsman a glimmer of hope, and he raised the stakes even further. "If you can resolve the fire spirit's problem, I'll do whatever you need." And I planned to work through the night, because the fire spirit really couldn't wait any longer. It was growing weaker by the minute. Under normal circumstances, a blacksmith's forge wouldn't cause a fire spirit to dehydrate, but this was the largest blacksmith shop in the territory, and the fire spirit had never rested since its birth. Back then, I was a hardcore veteran player of this game. I knew that what it needed most right now was a special nourishment called rosemary. This was originally just a salty herb, but through cooking, it could be turned into an essential oil that the fire spirit could drink. Through my tireless efforts, a bottle of essential oil glowing with a cyan blue light was finally completed. Come on, little fellow, drink up. When the fire spirit absorbed the oil, a system prompt appeared. Fire spirit's thirst alleviated, but the thirst of its soul is not yet satisfied. It still hadn't had enough. I had to keep making more. After toiling through the entire night, the fire spirit was finally fully satisfied. Its origin power was restored, and the fire raged even more fiercely. At the same time, spirit communication talent gained 30% EXP, seeing the roaring furnace fire. The dwarven craftsman rushed toward me in astonishment and delight. "You eccentric fellow, you really have some serious skill." But before I could reply, he suddenly froze in his tracks, because blood was actually dripping from my nose. "I'm fine, just stayed up all night and didn't sleep well. But the next second, my body went limp, and I collapsed heavily onto the ground. This sight scared the soul right out of the dwarf. "New, you can't die in my blacksmith shop." When I woke up, I found myself lying in a completely unfamiliar room. The aroma of food wafted over, and only then did I realize that the dwarven craftsman had carried me back to his home. Two little kids were leaning over the counter, staring at me with wide eyes. "I'm Soren, made of gold." The little girl's eyes lit up. "And I'm Lifu, made of jade." Seeing how close and affectionate they were, I realized I had never felt such warm sibling life. I only remembered that I had a younger brother, but he and I had become strangers for years without any communication. He had always treated me as a thorn in his side and a stumbling block, but it didn't matter. I had no interest in fighting for the heir position anyway. We each minded our own business. Just as I was lost in thought, a gentle voice interrupted. "My musings, children. Don't disturb the young master while he eats." The two little ones beamed instantly. "Oh, so your name is young master?" That remark nearly made me spit out my food. "My name is Ryan." "No, your name is young master, because young master sounds cooler." The lady of the house brought over hot soup. "Yesterday, when my husband carried you back, I thought something terrible had happened. Only later did I learn that you not only revived the nearly depleted fire spirit, but also saved our entire blacksmith shop." Just then, the dwarven craftsman returned as well. Nobody knew what he had been busy with all night until he finally came home just now. He immediately took me back to the blacksmith shop. But the moment I stepped into the workshop, the scene before me left me completely stunned. Neatly arranged across the entire workbench were refined iron ingots, stacked up like a tall little mountain. The dwarf grinned. "Young master, with that frail body of yours, if you started from smelting iron, you'd probably drop dead here today. So I went ahead and did all the basic prep work for you." That warmed my heart. To think the dwarven craftsman had prepared all this for me overnight. It turned out this sharp-tongued dwarf uncle was actually so thoughtful. Next, the real lessons began. Instead of rushing me to start, he demonstrated the full process himself: when to control the heat, when to strike with the hammer, and how to regulate the force and rhythm. Every movement was fluid, precise, and flawless, truly worthy of the continent's top dwarven craftsman. After the demonstration, he casually handed the hammer to me. "Understand, your turn." I then asked whether I could use these iron materials freely. After getting the dwarf's confirmation, I grabbed a whole bunch and tossed them straight into the high-temperature furnace. This bold move utterly baffled the dwarven craftsman. Why did you take so much? Didn't you say I could use as much as I wanted? But when I actually tried it, I realized what it meant for the eyes to get it, but the hands couldn't. The first strike was crooked. The second was too heavy, and on the third strike, I ruined the material completely. System prompts popped up repeatedly. Crafting failed. Please remelt and try again. Once, twice, 10 times. I had long lost count of how many times I had failed. My hands were numb from the recoil, and my skin had cracked open, but I still didn't stop, because I knew there were no shortcuts to growing stronger. Finally, after countless failures, a brand new system chime rang out. Blacksmithing talent unlocked. Proficiency reached apprentice level 1. The moment the talent unlocked, the heavy hammer in my hand suddenly felt light, and the rhythm of my swings became exceptionally smooth. The dwarven craftsman beside me noticed my change immediately. He suddenly yelled, "Now, the final strike." Seizing the chance, I exerted all my strength and brought the hammer down with a heavy blow. With sparks scattering everywhere, a crisp metallic ring resonated through the workshop. Just like that, the very first tool of my life was completed, and it even unlocked the precious blessing of the fire spirit. Looking at the tool in my hand, I asked softly, "Is it okay?" But the dwarf was quite the opposite. His face was filled with shock as he exclaimed in disbelief, "You kid are an absolute monster. Others need months of hard practice, yet you broke through in just a single day. Your talent is simply astonishing." That praise ignited my drive once again. No rest. On to the next one. Teach me how to make a sigil. That sentence left the dwarf dumbfounded, having hammered iron intensely for over a dozen hours. This guy must have lost his mind, but after a brief moment of shock, he laughed heartily. "Since you want to learn, I'll teach you everything I know." Seeing this, the corners of my mouth curled up. With these tools, I could soon brew a 3-star potion for grandfather. Grandfather, just you wait. I'll definitely help you achieve your happiness. Early the next morning, carrying the brand new tools forged overnight, I stepped into the Mimir forest. With my very first shovel swing, I struck big, obtained high-grade rare spirit herb finger ginseng. Sure enough, high-grade tools really made a difference. Not only was harvesting faster, but the drop rate of high-quality spirit herbs also increased significantly. Rare herbs that used to take painstaking effort to dig up could now be harvested with ease. At this rate, brewing a 3-star potion was just around the corner. While continuing to search for herbs, I suddenly spotted a familiar leaf. This was a sweet potato vine. I immediately raised my shovel and dug down, but the next second, the shovel in my hand suddenly burst into flames. The sudden flames startled me. Before I could even react, a system prompt popped up. Fire Spirit's blessing activated. Auto roasting complete. I looked down, and the freshly dubbed sweet potato was already roasted, crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, smelling incredibly fragrant. Wait, Fire Spirit, isn't this blessing buff a bit too overpowered? With this feature, I wouldn't even need to make a fire in the wild. Looking at the steaming sweet potato in my hand, my mouth was watering. I couldn't resist taking a huge bite, but the scalding hot sweet potato instantly burned my mouth numb, yet the sweet, soft, and fluffy texture made me completely unable to stop. Roasted sweet potatoes had to be scalding hot to be fragrant enough. That was the true soul of a roasted sweet potato. The sweet taste spread in my mouth, and paired with a gulp of milk, it was simply heavenly. Just as I was about to enjoy it, a rustling noise came from nearby. A plump pigeon landed right in front of me, staring straight At the roasted sweet potato in my hand, looks like the aroma lured you over. I broke off a piece of sweet potato and tossed it over. The fellow took a peck, fell in love instantly, and was so thrilled by the taste that it practically danced after eating my fill. I prepared to continue searching for materials. But little did I know that during the days I was away from home, the entire Asteri family had been thrown into chaos. The servants were pacing anxiously, and to make matters worse, rumors outside grew increasingly ridiculous, with some even saying the eldest young master had died in the blacksmith shop. Hearing this, the head maid grew even more anxious. But right then, they saw that familiar figure I had finally returned home. Only right now, my clothes were stained with dirt, and I had quite a few scratches on me. They also noticed the pigeon on my shoulder. "Young master, what did you bring back?" Only then did I realize that fat pigeon had actually followed me all the way home. Who knew that the simplest roasted sweet potato would bring me such a pleasant surprise? Seeing my disheveled state, Sylvia told me, "You really didn't need to do all this for me." I instantly realized grandfather had already told her about the potion brewing. It seemed that old man really couldn't keep a secret. When I told her that all the ingredients I needed had been completely gathered, Sylvia was utterly dumbfounded. She had never imagined that I would truly complete such an almost impossible task in just a few short days. Without another word, I turned and sprinted towards the laboratory, leaving only the head maid calling out behind me, "Young master, at least tend to your wounds first." Looking at my resolute retreating figure, Sylvia fell silent. At this moment, for the very first time, a thought arose in her heart. This young master, labeled as useless by everyone, might truly be able to create a miracle. As an ancient witch who had lived for hundreds of years, she had seen countless precious potions, but the vast majority were completely useless on her. Yet it was this weakest, least favored child of the Asteri family who, just to brew an exclusive potion for her, willingly stayed up forging iron and digging for herbs in the mountains, even ending up covered in scratches and bruises. At first, she thought this was absurd and laughable, but now a glimmer of anticipation arose in her heart. Sure enough, a few days later, Sylvia, radiating vitality, came to find grandfather with the potion. She excitedly told grandfather that after drinking this potion, the mental fatigue that had troubled her for decades was completely gone, and her mind felt crystal clear. Such a miraculous potion made it hard for her to believe it came from the young master. She immediately asked grandfather if he had secretly lent a helping hand, but grandfather pointed at the mountain of documents and shook his head. "I've been preparing for Ryan's coming-of-age ceremony, so I had no time to help him." Hearing this, Sylvia's expression changed completely. Without any help, this child had accomplished everything entirely on his own. Moreover, the grade of this potion far exceeded that of ordinary potions. This was definitely the legendary hero potion. They both knew exactly what this meant. Heroes who saved the world often shared a common tragic destiny. Those burdened with the fate of a hero never had happy lives, destined to fight bloody battles on the battlefield for life, and once their mission was done, they would vanish into thin air, leaving their loved ones searching and waiting in anguish. Thinking of this, grandfather frowned. If Ryan truly carried the fate of a hero, he would never let him walk that tragic path. "I have spent my life on the battlefield and lost far too many comrades. I can no longer bear the pain of losing my loved ones." But Sylvia suddenly smiled. "If that's the case, then let's hide this child away properly. It's about time this old woman retired anyway." However, grandfather strongly objected. "No, you cannot give up your freedom for Ryan. I will definitely find the hidden contract and set you free." But Sylvia merely smiled gently. "You're still the same as always, always." worrying about others. You see, she had already read the contract's contents. She could protect Ryan in secret per the contract's terms, but that also meant giving up her chance at freedom, binding the rest of her life forever to the Asteri family. Yet she was completely willing. This young master, despised by the world as useless, had made her dormant soul feel the warmth and meaning of being alive once again. With that, Sylvia revealed her true witch form: pitch black long hair, crimson eyes, and immense magical power erupting. Instantly, however, just as everyone began rallying to protect me, there was one person who couldn't sit still, the second son of the Asteri family. My younger brother, Riker. He was the acknowledged genius of the Asteri clan and the continent's youngest fourth-tier mage. Everyone believed he was the sole candidate to inherit the Asteri family. Yet at this critical juncture, Sylvia, who had accompanied the family for thousands of years, retired. Even stranger, the moment Sylvia left, a new maid was immediately brought in. To replace her, it was all too coincidental. As it turned out, on the night she was set to leave, Sylvia had specially gone to say goodbye to Riker. She told Riker, "It was the potion your brother brewed that gave me a new life." But Riker couldn't believe those words at all. After all, Sylvia was a witch who had lived for hundreds of years. How could she be changed by an ordinary potion? But Sylvia merely said, "If you don't believe it, go see your brother for yourself. I think you'd better learn a thing or two from the eldest young master." Such absurd words left Riker feeling completely helpless. What could a useless brother possibly teach a prodigy mage like him? However, as he watched Sylvia leave, her expression was indeed much brighter than before, and even her hollow gaze was rekindled with vitality and life, her whole being radiating an unprecedented ease. Yet he couldn't comprehend, was all of this truly because of that foolish brother? In that moment, Riker made a decision. He would go investigate for himself, to see with his own eyes what secrets that useless brother was hiding. Late that night, Riker went to the Mimir forest alone. This forest was dark, damp, and completely desolate, without even a proper road. In his eyes, if you wanted herbs, all you had to do was order the servants. Why on earth did that guy insist on staying in such a desolate place in the dead of night? Just as he was wondering, a strange sound of digging dirt came from ahead. Riker instantly grew vigilant, quietly parting the obstructing branches, but the bizarre scene before him froze him dead in his tracks. In the dim woods, his brother was kneeling on the ground, digging furiously into the dirt. Even more shocking, that guy pulled an unidentified object straight from the soil and shoved it directly into his wide-open mouth. That bizarre sight completely shattered Riker's understanding. A powerful blast of wind magic shot straight toward me. Are you crazy? How could you eat something like that? At that moment, completely oblivious to Riker behind me, I could only watch helplessly as the sweet potato in my hand was blasted away. The sweet potato I had worked so hard to roast just flew away. But when I crawled over to it, the sweet potato was in an inedible state. My heart shattered into pieces new. I looked up furiously and yelled, "Who did that?" When I saw who it was, I realized it was Riker. I never dreamed I would meet him in the Mimir forest, that brother I hadn't seen in years. Riker felt awkward as well and hurriedly explained, "I just wanted to check on you. I didn't mean to destroy your thing." Hearing that he came to check on me, my instinctive reaction was that he came to spy on me and cause trouble. But Riker actually started apologizing. "It was my fault just now. But you shouldn't eat something covered in mud either." I rolled my eyes. helplessly. This is a sweet potato. It naturally grows in the dirt. A sweet potato is a starchy root vegetable. I fell silent on the spot. To think this so-called prodigy mage had never even seen a sweet potato before. Feeling emotional, I simply told Riker to sit down on the spot and had him use fire magic to light a campfire. I could see his reluctance, but he did it anyway. Then, I dug up a bunch of sweet potatoes and tossed them straight into the fire. The night was quiet, the campfire crackled, and we sat side by side waiting. With only the warm fire and simple ingredients. This was our most peaceful and heartwarming moment in years. Soon, the sweet aroma of roasted sweet potatoes filled the air. I picked up a roasted sweet potato and handed it over to him. Riker took a half-doubting bite, and in the next second, his face was full of pure shock. He had never imagined that the world possessed such a simple yet exquisitely delicious food. Roasted sweet potatoes, fish cake soup, sweet pancakes, these common street delicacies were foods Riker had never tasted before. In this moment, he was completely conquered by the humble roasted sweet potato, eating so eagerly he couldn't stop. Only when he looked down was he stunned by the scene. When did I eat so much? If you like it, eat more. You've worked hard for the sake of the family heir position. But Riker replied, it's not hard. It's not a burden. Taking this opportunity, I spoke from my heart. I've never blamed you. You didn't steal my position. You were merely doing what you were supposed to do. That's simple. Sentence instantly shattered Riker's long-standing knot. All these years, had always thought I held a deep grudge and hated him fiercely. He fell silent for a long time before revealing the secret hidden in his heart. Actually, I've always been a bit jealous of you. You can freely do whatever you want to do. While I've worked hard to shoulder this family responsibility, I gently patted his shoulder. I understand. You're just a kid too. You don't need to push yourself constantly. It's totally fine to do what you want once in a while. And right at this moment, Riker finally understood Sylvia's choice, and truly saw through to who I was. The once useless young master who only knew how to run away had now become someone who cared about his family and understood others. Just like that, the two of us sat side by the campfire. The years of estrangement and suspicion slowly dissolved over this meal of roasted sweet potatoes, and this meeting would completely transform the relationship between us brothers. After returning to my room, I immediately opened the system panel to check all my gains. During this period, after days of staying up late forging, gathering, and brewing, I had saved up over 70,000 shillings in savings. Once I reached 100,000 shillings, I could unlock the system shop. Thinking about redeeming more items in the future, I couldn't help but feel excited. After all, brewing that potion had exhausted me to near collapse, but none of this was without reward. Not only did my levels increase, but I also befriended the dwarven craftsman, and completely resolved the years of emotional estrangement with my brother Riker. Life now seemed to be getting more and more interesting. Thinking of this, suddenly remembered grandfather. Poor grandfather must have been dumped by Sylvia. Why else would Sylvia suddenly retire? What a shame for such a wonderful romance. But when it came to the love and hate of elders, there was nothing I could do. As I was lost in thought, a sudden knock on the door interrupted my thoughts. But the person who pushed the door open left me frozen in an instant. The newcomer was the new young maid, Elvia, but looking at this completely unfamiliar face, I felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity. She looked so much like Sylvia. In that instant, it hit me. So that's how it is. No wonder Sylvia suddenly retired. She simply took on a younger form. to return, but in this fantasy world where even spirits existed, a witch who had lived hundreds of years changing her appearance was hardly surprising. I'll be in your care from now on, Elvia. Afterward, I grabbed my backpack and prepared to head out for my appointment, because I had agreed to meet Riker today. But as I walked along the road, I suddenly noticed something strange. My physical condition seemed to be worsening. In the past, running deep into the forest every day to gather herbs didn't feel like much, but now, why did simply walking make me feel completely exhausted? Riker, who rushed over, noticed my terrible state at a single glance, and his expression instantly darkened. Brother has already collapsed from walking over 80,000 times and fallen asleep from exhaustion while eating 32,963 times. If this continues, it definitely won't do. So he immediately supported me. Brother, I must take you to the church to have a priest examine your body. In his view, this was very likely the after effect of the 3 mana shocks. If it continued to deteriorate, Brother would collapse for good before the coming of age ceremony. But here was the problem. The Asteri family was a mage lineage, and priests and mages had always been in conflict and fundamentally irreconcilable. So, we had no way of directly approaching a priest. Therefore, Riker came up with a solution: to disguise our identities and volunteer. The enthusiastic priests frequently held volunteer activities, so this was getting acquainted with priests in the most natural way. Of course, to pull this off, we had to hide our identities. First, we went to buy disguise props. Riker knew an excellent place, leading me to a magic shop. This shop was extremely hidden. Outsiders couldn't find it at all. Those unfamiliar might even think it was selling contraband, but reaching the inner sanctum of the shop was a total eye-opener. The items sold here were completely different from conventional magic items on the market. There were magic earrings that greatly boosted hearing, special pens that could alter one's traits at will, and all kinds of bizarre magic trinkets that looked like toys but were packed with utility. Seeing us, the bald shopkeeper gave an enthusiastic introduction. We have everything in this shop, except, of course, hair regrowth tonic. We stated directly that we wanted disguise props. Disguise props? You've come to the right place. Please step this way. The owner led us into another room. These are ordinary disguise props that can only slightly alter one's aura, but they are very economical. The owner pulled back a curtain, and here are all high-grade props. These items have exceptional disguise effects, though they are quite pricey. With that, he took out the shop's prized treasure, the crown of perfect disguise. Wear this crown, and not even your biological mother will recognize you. You can disguise yourself however you wish. For us, this was simply perfect. Without a second thought, Riker and I paid immediately. As we walked out of the shop, I discovered another item in the bag. It was actually a free gift from the owner in Artisan's Repair Kit. Any artisan item below system grade could be repaired with it. Seeing this, I was stunned. This free gift was clearly more valuable than what we bought, but Riker said he had no use for it and gave it directly to me. What a precious tool. Looks like I scored a massive bargain again. Next, we took out the crowns to disguise ourselves. The moment I put on the crown, my iconic golden long hair turned into a low-profile brownish hazel. Riker also used the prop to completely conceal his genius. Majora, to noble young masters of esteemed status transformed in a flash into unremarkable commoners. After putting away our gear, we didn't head straight to the church, but first stopped by a secluded flour mill. Aren't we going to the church? Why did we come here first? Riker explained that this mill not only sold flour, but also sold fresh bread daily. But Riker's true purpose was to meet someone here. The mill owner, Nicholas, he was one of the few people in this territory who had connections to the church. We stated our purpose directly. We wanted to purchase flour for a charitable donation. The owner brought out the finest flour ground from such high-quality wheat is rarely seen nowadays. He also suggested we donate the flour to the orphanage under the church. Hearing this, Riker beside me rejoiced inwardly. His plan was progressing smoothly, and we finally had a legitimate reason to contact the church priest, but the owner's expression darkened. Lately, life at the church orphanage hasn't been easy. As it turned out, because the Asteri territory revered magic, the church here had always been neglected and given the cold shoulder, unable to raise enough charitable funds. As a result, the lives of the children in the church orphanage grew increasingly difficult. Nicholas said he was just an ordinary commoner mill owner, so his strength was limited. Hearing this, I felt deeply saddened. Those poor children had done nothing wrong, yet they couldn't even get a full meal. Thinking about it, I proposed an unexpected idea. If we donate flour, the children will still have to spend time processing and baking it, which is too troublesome. Since you also sell bread here, why don't we donate freshly baked, warm bread directly? The mill owner was overjoyed upon hearing this, patting his chest and declaring his bread was the best in the area, rolling up his sleeves to get to work on the spot. Standing beside me, Riker looked at me with a complicated gaze. Earlier, he had focused entirely on taking me to see a priest, completely overlooking what the orphanage actually needed. He hadn't expected his brother to consider even these details. On the counter, ingredients were arranged neatly: whole wheat flour and 2-star quality olive oil. The bread baked from this was guaranteed to taste wonderful. The mill owner taught us how to make the most popular basic whole wheat bread among the children, wonderfully soft in texture.